Hey, Dante the One back here. As you can see by the title, I will be giving a review or just on what I think about Berserk, as I finished it recently, and really it's a really good show. And if you haven't watched Berserk, I don't know why you're watching this video, but further ado, roll my intro.
And now, I too have the power of a god. I got loyalty inside my DNA. I got loyalty inside my DNA. I got memories, got war and peace inside my DNA. I got poison, pain, and joy inside my DNA. Shinra Tensei. I was born in this world. Immaculate conception that you perform like this without you a new weapon.
As Berserk is a anime unique upon itself, not like many of the animes I've watched, like Naruto, Hunter x Hunter, Attack on Titan, and it's a very action-filled anime like those other ones, but it's not the typical shonen, never giving up type of anime, which that's because it's very unique, it's very different because it's adult shonen. And really, it starts off when I first watched it, the first episode of Berserk, I thought that it was going to be like, yeah, he joins this mercenary band, like he hints to it, but I thought they were just going to be fighting and eventually pretty much like that Griffith betrays Guts and things like that. But it went to a totally different path than I thought it was going to be, as it really kept me on my toes, I would like to say. As that's why Berserk is such a unique show, because recent anime that I've watched and are watching, I like to watch more animes now that I've seen more on perspective. That, yes, everybody has a goal, but everybody's perspective is different. They all have a different reason why they're fighting for, but you can't really tell who's good or evil. That is the type of show that I would be more into watching now, instead of the more typical shonen you would get in like My Hero, where you know who the good guy is and who the bad guy is. But in a show where somebody's fighting to protect their family, in another show where somebody is fighting to protect their family as well, so you can't really say who's the good or the bad. Which, to say that shows that are good have good guys and bad guys, and pretty much you know who's gonna win in the end, shows aren't good, is a very bad statement, because in my personal preference, Naruto's my favorite anime, my favorite shonen, and it's the only reason why I would continue watching other animes, because of the different compelling characters and different perspectives on how they view the world in their own way. As basically, there's other shows out there that did something like this that is very compelling, like Black Clover, for example, which you see a main character like Asta, that was placed into this and born into this universe where magic is everything, but he has no magic, but he was cursed with a power, a demon, to exact similar to the Naruto story. But it's fun and it's entertaining every episode to see somebody that you can relate to, a character that is always the underdog, but he keeps on pushing no matter what the odds are. And that's why a lot of people watching anime tend to pretty much connect, well, obviously because they're the main characters, but towards shonen anime that have these type of main characters that start off the underdog and they make it way to their stop to the top, because that is how many people view themselves as. But there are other stories, like, which I would say adult shonen, which kind of were in animes like Naruto and Black Clover, already tend to show the different perspectives and how maybe the good guys aren't the good guys and the bad guys might not be the bad guys. But in these shows that I'm talking about, like Attack on Titan, Villain Saga, and Berserk, where pretty much you can see that they're all just fighting for each of their perspectives, each of their backstories. That is very compelling. It makes you become attached to the character because they have various different reasons why they're fighting, but it's not like they're morally good. And they know that their actions might not be good, but they do so because of their own selfish reasons. As this, we see a main character like Berserk is very different because of how he pretty much only fights as he fights with his sword, is because that's all he knew ever since he grew up. As he had a very confusing childhood because the person that he had as a father type figure was also the same person who hated his own guts, as well as pretty much was the reason why Guts had tended to become the person with the mindset that we see in the Berserk story. You see this, as this is what really got me attached when I saw Guts' backstory. As well as there were some characters that I really disliked. One character that I didn't really like in Berserk was the same dude that was hitting on Guts since the beginning. And frankly, if you know, he got what he deserved. But pretty much Casca, I did not like her character at all. She was very annoying to me and was like more of a damsel in distress plot device. I felt like she was a nuisance to the story. And I just felt like she was just getting in the middle of what Guts and Griffith had that was actually good and what I like seeing in the story. But that's when the episode where Guts saves Casca and we get more perspective, more the situation on why Casca is the way that she is, the reason why she's so protective over Griffith, and her backstory, her reason to explain this. That's why I tended before I didn't like Casca, but now I can apologize for misjudging how her character was, not knowing the full book. But pretty much I can say that Casca is actually a very well designed character, how she starts off, and then how, she loves Griffith, but where we can slowly see that hinting that they do and the slowly development that they do with Griffith and Casca. And even how, Guts and Casca, and even how Griffith is shown in the story and how the character that he was, how we see that Guts was a very dangerous person, but he was owned. He was slaved to Griffith's chain. And eventually where Guts started to develop after these years of being by Griffith's side, he realizes that to be his own man, to be his own warrior, he can't be under somebody's wing. He can't be somebody's Robin. And that's where this leads to my favorite episode. As I thought this was going to go very different, I didn't think what was going to happen to Griffith after this second fight. Because the first fight, I thought that Guts was going to lose on how the story hyped up Griffith in their first fight. But I didn't think that he was going to lose in that type of way. I thought Griffith was going to get injured as well, but in their first fight, Griffith clearly outplayed Guts. But near their second fight, each episode you can see how Guts was more developing and was more of the key reasons why they were able to make it this far on Griffith building his empire, and things of that nature. So his second fight, I knew clearly that if Guts lost this, the writers were writing so bad. And that would have been one of the most baddest animes I've ever watched. But how Guts, my bad, won, it showed Griffith's character was flawed to the Band of the Hawk. It showed that he wasn't the perfect man that they thought that he was. He was a great fighter, a great leader, a handsome dude in the show, and very good with his words. But he had many of people in the Band of the Hawk on his leash, including Guts. And losing Guts, who he saw as pretty much a high-value reason, a high-value warrior and person that he needed. And the only person that he can even see kind of close to an equal footing of him. Losing that, it broke Griffith, his character. Which, it did not go a way that I thought it would, but it was very cool seeing how it did play out. But that is how my favorite episode went in Berserk. But it only led to various other things that kind of closed off the chapter, if you will, very nicely. But I didn't expect it to take the turn that it did in the last few episodes of the show. I will probably make another video in the future when I read Berserk. But pretty much how Guts became his own warrior and was on his own for a time. And then he eventually led back to the Band of the Hawk because he was destined to eventually become their leader. Once again, without Griffith. But hearing what happened to Griffith after Guts left, it really made me think how Griffith used people. Used all the attributes that he was blessed with to get up to the top. And losing Guts was like knocking him down the cliff that he climbed on a stack of bodies to get up to. And that led to the certain actions that he did, which, if you watched, you know what he tried to do to the princess. And that's what that predicament that he got into him, getting the tendons ripped out of this man. Bro's tongue got ripped out of this man. The former warrior and handsome dude and the leader that he was in the show was all taken and wiped away. He was a frail version of himself. He was even weaker than a little child warrior. He was irrelevant when it came to what he formerly was. This is where we see his character try to take control when he does get rescued by the Band of the Hawk. Once again, when he tries to do that to Casca. But Bro's too weak as he realizes that he can't be in the Band of the Hawk. He can't live like this anymore. He sees the predicament that he was in of when Guts left him. That certain event, that man changed his life for drastically, which led to the last few episodes of the show. Which, how they did that tragedy took a drastic change that I didn't expect, as I thought there was something up in the past few episodes, especially when we see Zod and with the necklace and everything. But I thought it was going to be a little bit more differently. But then it started to click when I really realized that there was no coming back for Griffith after basically he couldn't speak. One of his most pretty much special abilities of being able to weigh people with his words, and he couldn't fight or hold a sword anymore. So I see how the story took that place, which is why Berserk was a great show to watch, and I am very enjoyed it. As that is my take on how the Berserk show is very different from various animes, but this is also a thumbnail here for a different video that's similar to the one that I did here, but it's strictly about the complexity of Eren Yeager's personality and how his actions took place in the story. But if you want to see that, just let me know that in the comments. But other than that, Dante the One, back at it again, and you guys will get a new video soon. Signing out. Peace. Roll my outro.
Wintertime, all the time, ooh, yeah. Look at the way that I move, swag, disrespectful and I'm rude, okay. I had cocaine in the school, winter one hell of a kid, I am. Smoking gas, jogging mid, I'm lit. What you doing, I done did, I swear. Slick talker since a jit, finesse. I know that this what they want, facts. Run up some money,